You often hear people justify the ludicrous price of Hermes bags, especially when it comes to the Birkin and the Kelly, by saying that these bags are worth the investment because they are so exquisitely made that you'll get to use and enjoy them for life. But is that really true? Well, today we'll be looking at one of my oldest and I would say most used Hermes quota bags, my Hermes Kelly 35 in Togo, which is just about 6 years old, somewhere between 6 and 7 years old. I think it is going into its 7th year, and I would love to share with you how this bag has aged and worn, and also everything that I learned owning a Kelly bag over the years. So if you'd like to hear my thoughts on whether these bags are truly worth the money and if they will truly last a lifetime, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and keep on watching. When I tell you that I've been sitting here for over 45 minutes trying to film this, I am not exaggerating. I think they're doing construction somewhere in my building, and anytime I start talking, they start drilling, which has been insanely annoying. So I really hope that I'll be able to get more than 2 sentences out before the drilling starts again. But I would like to start out by saying that obviously there are videos on much older Hermes bags out there than the one that I have here, but I feel like most videos that discuss how Hermes bags wear and age are done with vintage Hermes bags, which I assume most of those were acquired on the Preloved market, whereas this is a bag that I myself picked up directly at the store and I have been its one and only owner. This is a contemporary Kelly bag, which means that I am aware of everything this bag, or I should say everything that we together have been through in the past few years, which I hope will give you a great insight into how Hermes's quality really translates into daily use and whether or not it is worth the hype, because there's no doubt that Hermes puts a lot of emphasis on craftsmanship and quality. Speaking of which, if you're interested in seeing how an Hermes Kelly bag is made up close and personal and hear about the exact steps that are taken to create one of the most beautiful bags out there, I will make sure to have a video linked down below for you, which I did at an event where they basically crafted an Hermes Kelly bag right in front of me. So that video will be listed and linked in the info box for you, because today we're not doing a deep dive on how Hermes Kelly bags are made. Instead, we'll be discussing if all this attention to details really means anything, and if the quality and all the effort that goes into the creation of these bags is still tangible after years of use and abuse. Now, a couple of things that I would love for you to be aware of when it comes to a Kelly bag is that Kelly bags can take anywhere between 12 to 15 hours to be produced, depending on the leather and the size of the bag. But an Hermes craftsman can only create 2 to 3 bags in a week. I know that there are plenty of rumors out there that say that it takes an entire week for an Hermes bag to be made, but that is not actually true, at least not according to the craftspeople that I've had the pleasure of meeting over the years. And another detail that I would love for you to know is that when it comes to a Kelly bag, each and every single detail on this bag is done by a single craftsperson. So the bag is made by a single craftsperson from start to finish. Other than the initial cutting of the raw materials, the bag itself is constructed by one person and one person only, which makes it almost their signature piece of art, their signature work. But I would love to move on to discussing how this bag has actually worn and aged, because you know that these bags are beautifully crafted, but does that really make a difference when it comes to you really using and enjoying this bag? I think the first thing that comes to mind when it comes to a Kelly bag, especially a Kelly RETOURNE bag. So just in case you were not aware, Hermes Kelly bags come in 2 different structures. They come in a SELLIER structure, which means that the stitching is visible on the outside, and those bags tend to be a lot more structured and, in my opinion, a lot more finicky to use, just because the opening tends to be quite tight. And then the other structure is a so-called RETOURNE structure, which is known for being a lot more relaxed and a lot more slouchy. So one thing that you want to pay attention to when it comes to keeping your bag in good shape is making sure that it is properly stuffed and that you use the right type of insert in a Kelly RETOURNE bag that will support the bag just slightly from the inside out. Because one thing that I'm really proud of and one thing that I'm really pleasantly surprised by is how beautifully this bag has maintained its shape. Because when it comes to not only a RETOURNE bag, but especially a RETOURNE bag that is in a larger size and a bag that is made of a heavier grain skin, which has the tendency to start collapsing in on itself. This bag, I think, has aged beautifully, and it's also kept its shape really nicely. And I do think that it is purely because I started using an insert in this really early on. You know that my favorite insert comes from 7RP. I love 7RP inserts because they not only help to protect the lining of your bag, but they also give your bags just the right amount of support from the inside out without completely reshaping them. I try to do some videos here of what this bag looks like with and without the insert in here, because the difference is really quite dramatic. These larger Kelly bags in RETOURNE structure can really start looking like a puddle of leather after a few years of use, because the bigger and the heavier the bag, the softer it will become over time, which I know some people enjoy and appreciate. Personally, I do not want my bags to start losing their overall shape and their integrity, because once that starts happening, it's really only downhill from there. It's not something that Hermes has the capability to repair. There's a lot that can be fixed and refreshed on a bag, but when it comes to the overall structure, it is not something that can be brought back to life. So in my opinion, having an insert, the right type of insert in a Kelly RETOURNE bag, can go a really long way. And personally, I am a huge fan of 7RP insert because they are truly custom made to support your bags from the inside out. Now, this video is not sponsored by 7RP in any shape or form, but I do have a relationship with the brand. So if I'm able to get you a discount code, I will make sure to leave it up on the screen here, just because these inserts are definitely quite pricey, but I think that they are worth every penny, especially if you look at how my bag has maintained its shape, which I do think is genuinely because of my 7RP insert. Without this bag would be a lot more slouchy, a lot more relaxed, and also a lot more lived in looking, in my opinion. So one thing that I'm really impressed by is how beautifully this bag has maintained its shape, which is definitely something that you want to pay attention to when it comes to a RETOURNE bag. Sellier bags definitely don't need quite as much support as RETOURNE bags, but you still want to protect the lining of the bag. Speaking of the lining, let me have a quick look on the inside. I don't think that there's really anything on the lining. There are definitely no stains and no marks, because I've had an insert in this bag for years. I think I got this insert maybe after a year or two of having this bag, because I did start noticing my bag slowly losing its shape. I initially invested in an insert from Hermes, which really didn't do much. And then when I got this one, I saw the biggest difference in how my bag fell and how it sat. It just sat a lot more beautifully and it felt a lot more refined. So in my opinion, this insert has done a lot for my bag, and it is the main reason why it still looks so fresh and new. And then speaking of this bag being fresh and new, the other detail that obviously people will pick up on is the hardware. So I did have the original protective sticker on the hardware. Actually, until this morning, I just removed those, because there are rumors out there that say that you can actually ruin your hardware by leaving the stickers on. I have asked several crafts people over the years, and they always said that as long as the sticker is intact, it doesn't start peeling off on its own, you can leave them on unless you live in a really humid climate, because the sticker can start almost melting down if you keep your bags in a really humid environment, which you shouldn't do, but I understand that sometimes you don't have control over that. So if you live in a really humid country, or if you don't like the look of the stickers on your bag, take them off as soon as you can. But I personally kept my stickers on until just today, and as you can see, they left absolutely no mark behind. So if they make you feel a little bit more comfortable, and if they give you a sense of comfort having your bags with the stickers on, just keep them on. At the end of the day, it really doesn't make that much of a difference, because if your stickers leave a mark behind, or if you take the stickers off and your hardware gets scratched and marked and you want them replaced, that can really easily be done at the Hermes spa. All you have to do is drop your bag off at Hermes and ask them to have your bag serviced and specifically request for the hardware to be replaced. And that is something that can be done for you. So it really doesn't make that much of a difference. It just all depends on what you personally prefer. There may be a few micro scratches on the flap, on the hardware on the flap here. The studs have oxidized slightly, but other than that, the hardware is still in perfect shape. I mean, if someone told me that this bag was a year old, I would definitely believe them, not only based on the structure, but also based on the state of the hardware. Unlike a Birkin bag, Kelly bags feature a single top handle. Obviously, Birkins feature two top handles, which does make Birkins a lot easier to pack, because obviously you rely on two handles to distribute the weight, and also the handle is attached to the body of the bag, whereas when it comes to the Kelly, there's only a single top handle, and the handle feels, I mean, flimsy might be an overstatement, but it doesn't feel quite as secure as the two top handles of the Birkin. So one thing for you to keep in mind when it comes to a Kelly bag is that you definitely cannot pack this bag as much as you could a Birkin, which is more of an open style tote, and you do have those two handles to rely on, whereas this is not even attached to the body of the bag. It's only attached to the top flap. So if you really pack this bag, it's really not the best for the longevity of the handle. But speaking of the handle, I did want to have a really close look at it to see if there are any signs of tear and wear, and there's really none, at least not any that I can see. Perhaps I could have the handle reglazed. I'm not sure if that's the right term, but there is this hand painted edge that could be redone, but it's definitely not a necessity. Now, you do have to keep in mind that this is a black bag. Obviously, the lighter the bag, the more delicate the handles are going to be, which is why some people will accessorize their bags with a twilly. Personally, I am not a big fan of twillies. I don't think twillies are a necessity. Twillies will not make your handles bulletproof either. And let's not forget that handles can also be replaced in the spa if your handles get really discolored, which, I mean, that will happen no matter what, unless you constantly have them concealed by twillies. But if you're really that rough on your bags, you will also have to replace your twillies, which those also add up. So at the end of the day, you just have to decide, would you prefer to spend money on replacing your twillies, or save that money that you would spend on twillies and then at the end just spend that on replacing your handle if need be. But I am not a fan of twillies. If you like the look of them, you go for them and you enjoy them. But I think there's already so much going on when it comes to a Birkin and a Kelly. There's so much hardware. You have the hooks for the strap, you have the twist closure, you have the sangles with the hardware, that a twilly is the last thing you need on a bag like this. But speaking of the handle, I don't see any signs of tear and wear. Let me have a really quick look in here. There is the tiniest little mark on the flap here, which is barely visible. But other than that, it's still just perfect on the inside, which, I mean, that makes sense because I've had an insert in here for years. But other than that, yeah, in terms of aging and how this bag has worn, it's still in impeccable shape. But feel free to let me know in the comment section what you guys think. If you saw this bag walking down the street, how old would you think this bag is? Would you guess that it is a couple years old? Would you guess that it is its actual age, so 6-7 years old, or would you think it is older than that? Because I really do think that this is one of those bags that has aged just beautifully, and I actually think that it is worth the price when it comes to the quality, because to this day the quality is still tangible. You can definitely tell that this bag is not just any run-of-the-mill leather bag. It was exquisitely crafted, and that attention to detail you can still very much appreciate. If someone asked me to guess how old this bag is, I would not guess that it's any older than a couple years old. In fact, it could possibly even look store fresh. I mean, the leather feels a little bit softer than it did when I first got it, and there is just the tiniest bit of oxidization on the studs, but other than that, there are no more telltale signs of this bag being a little bit older, something that has been around the block for a little while. But I don't think that you need that much convincing to add a Kelly bag to your collection if you're here watching this video, because obviously they are incredibly popular and they are popular for a reason. I do still love this bag, even though I have not been carrying it as much as I used to, just because I am going through a little bit of a twist closure fatigue. But I still adore this bag, and as I mentioned, the quality just speaks for itself. It does not only look, but also to this day feel like $1,000,000, even though it doesn't cost quite as much. I mean, at this point with the new price increases, we're not far off, because currently the Kelly bags, I think they start at around $11,000 in size 25, and then you go up in price as you go up in size. And I'm not even talking about exotic leathers here. The mini Kelly I think is just under $10,000, but that's not technically part of the core Kelly line. The smallest core Kelly bag is a size 25, which retails for over $11,000 at this point. I don't even want to guess how much this bag would be in size 35. I don't even remember how much it was when I first got it, but I think these days it would probably be somewhere between $13,000 to $14,000. So it's definitely a pricey bag. It is a really, really large investment. But if you are looking for a bag that will genuinely last, something that you can use and enjoy and you know will stay in incredible shape, as long as you take decent care of it, because by no means am I saying that you can drag these bags through the mud and they will still look like this. Please don't forget that I have been really careful, not careful, but I have been really responsible with this bag. So if you are already passionate about Hermes, just know that when it comes to the quality, it is really where they say it is, but it is going to be a large investment. So now I wanted to share with you a few different cons of the Kelly bag, because obviously you can find plenty of videos out there that will convince you to add a Kelly bag to your collection, saying that it is a must-have. And while it is a beautiful bag, there are a few things that I would love for you to be aware of. Number one is something that we have already touched on, which is how much this bag can actually carry, because it's not quite as capacious as a Birkin would be, purely because of the shape. A Birkin bag is a lot more boxy, it's more of a square shape, whereas this is a little bit more tapered, which is personally why I think it is a little bit more sleek than a Birkin bag, because it is more tapered, which means that you can fit less into a Kelly bag, and it also will not bear quite as much as a Birkin bag would, just because there is only a single handle, and the handle isn't even attached to the body of the bag, it's only attached to the flap. So it's something that I would be careful with if you are looking for a workhorse bag. Not to say that you cannot use this bag on a daily basis and you cannot put this to the test, but I would definitely not carry your groceries and your kitchen sink in a bag like this. A Birkin would be a much better choice if you're someone who likes to carry their entire life around. Another thing that I don't personally appreciate about the Kelly bag at this point is how widely recognizable they are. You can of course turn a Kelly bag around so you don't show off the twist closure and the sangles, but the twist closure will dig into you, so that is just something for you to keep in mind. I don't even think that I mentioned this, but I think it goes without saying at this point, but Kelly bags do come with a shoulder strap, so if you want to carry this bag over your shoulder with the twist closure facing you, so the back feels a little bit more subtle, which is what I tend to do these days, you can of course do that, but it will not be the most comfortable unless you're wearing really heavy layers, because the twist closure can get stuck on your clothes, it can dig into you, it can get stuck on your belt, on your knits. It has never torn anything that I own, but it is not always the most comfortable. So that is another detail for you to keep in mind. And then when it comes to the user experience, Kelly bags can be quite cumbersome going in and out of, because you do have this twist closure, which I feel like at this point I'm so used to it, I really don't mind it. And especially when it comes to a RETOURNE Kelly, the leather gets softer and softer the longer you use this bag. So on my particular bag, it's not as much of an issue. But when it comes to, for example, a SELLIER Kelly bag, that is something that can be quite finicky because the opening is quite tight. So when I use a Kelly bag, whether it is my Kelly 35 in RETOURNE structure or some of my smaller Kellys in SELLIER, because I don't actually have any RETOURNE. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have never bought another RETOURNE Kelly bag other than this. So when it comes to my SELLIER bags, and also this one, I will never actually fasten them all the way. I will always leave the sangles undone, and I will only rely on the twist closure to close my Kelly bag, because if you do up the sangles and the twist closure, it will take you some time to get into your bag, especially when it comes to a SELLIER bag in Epsom, because those really take some time to break in. They can be really tough and they can be a little bit of a challenge to open and close, and I know some people love carrying them with the sangles fastened and the twist closure locked, which is definitely a really elegant and sophisticated look, and it is your bag. You do whatever you want to do with it. But I never want to get stuck in line behind someone who's carrying a SELLIER Kelly that is completely done up, because one thing is for sure, it will take them quite a bit of time to get anything out of their bag. So that is just something for you to keep in mind. If you want to fully lock this bag, it will be a little bit of a challenge to get in and out of. And while we are on the topic of SELLIER bags, this will not be as much of a concern for you if you're investing in a SELLIER bag. But when it comes to a RETOURNE creation, these without a doubt will start losing their shape really early on. So I would suggest investing in an insert unless you really like that slouchy, lived in, really broken in look, which I know some people appreciate. Personally, it's not my cup of tea. So I would say that if you are going to buy a RETOURNE bag and you want yours to stay in great shape and to maintain its overall shape, you definitely want to invest in a good quality insert. If I can, I will try to get you a 7 RP discount code, just because these inserts are so insanely expensive. But in my opinion, in my experience, and as you can tell, obviously the proof is in the pudding, they definitely go a really long way, and to me they are very much worth the investment. And then the last con that I wanted to bring to your attention, which some people might look at as a pro, I guess it is both a pro and a con, which is the shoulder strap. So unlike a Birkin, Kelly bags do come with a removable shoulder strap, which I actually have here. However, the shoulder straps are not universally flattering. While they are removable, they are not adjustable, and they are quite thin. The strap that comes with the mini Kelly is even thinner than this, and they are 85 centimeters, which means that you cannot really wear these as a crossbody bag if you're a little bit taller or have wider shoulders or you have a wider chest. So that is just something for you to keep in mind, that yes, it is a great added bonus to have a shoulder strap, but you might want to invest in an additional shoulder strap if you're a little bit more petite or if you're a little bit taller. Thankfully, Hermes does sell straps. You can have them custom made, but they will cost you a pretty penny, and they will also take quite a few months to be made, depending on where you live and depending on what leather the strap needs to be made in. I have seen some straps online that are not actually made by Hermes, but they are made for Hermes bags, but I have never been truly impressed by the quality. So I will continue doing research on straps that you can find out there. I will link some down below for you, but I don't think the quality is where it should be. And obviously the quality of Hermes straps is just gorgeous. It is as beautiful as the quality of the bag, but they can be quite limiting. I mean, they definitely work for some people if you don't want to carry these bags as crossbody, which larger bags really don't look the best being carried as a crossbody bag. But if you just want to carry them over your shoulder and it fits you, an 85 centimeter strap works for you, great, but it will not work for everyone. For some people, this strap will be too short, and for others, it will be too long, or the other way around. Long story short, these straps will not work for every single person. While I love the option of having a strap, I do wish that there was a little bit more customization that you could choose from when it comes to an Hermes bag, especially considering the price. I wished you could maybe have a custom strap made free of charge, considering how much money you are already paying for these bags, but that is not the case. So that is just the last con that I wanted to bring to your attention. But overall, this is definitely a bag that I really enjoy, and if I had to choose between a Birkin and a Kelly, I would always go for a Kelly bag. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and it wasn't too boring for you to get into the nitty-gritty and really have a proper look at a bag that's been in my collection for a few years. I hope you got something out of it and it helped you with making up your mind on whether or not this bag is worth the money for you. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section, and please let me know how old you would guess this bag to be. Would you guess that this is younger than it is or older? I know that we shouldn't be discussing age, but I don't think my bag will mind. So let me know in the comment section how old you think this bag is, and also let me know how your Hermes bags have aged. I cannot wait to hear from you, and while you're down there, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I really appreciate you being here and watching, and I cannot wait to see you back here with a new video really soon.